recording here because sometimes it's useful for other people. Okay, so yeah, many people from computing science have taken this course, and it may seem to you like it's sort of odd that that's the case because there's so much sort of basic computing science in this. There are like 4 lectures from Osmer Cyan and Patrick Pilarski and so on. But even they, I think, get a bit beyond computing science and into culture and the impact on human society. And so you'll actually learn things from them, even though in theory what they're teaching is down here and what you're doing is up here kind of thing. Yeah, yeah, and I think you'll get a broader feeling for the impact of your career on others, right? Because we have people from all different walks of life. We have philosophers, nurses, engineers, we have like the best and the brightest young people. Of the 40,000 students at the U of A, we have the top 14 who are actually interested in the long range future, right? So anyway, that's kind of cool. And it would be hard for you to find those people any other way, right? That, like, how would you figure out, like, if you go to some social event, how would you find people interested in the long-range future? It'd be tough, right? Go from person to person, and you'd be the least popular person at the gathering for asking that question, because most people could care less. They're interested in like the next 3 or 4 years, but not at all beyond that. So yeah. So no, I think it would work well, and of the approximately 13, 14 students who will be registered students this time, I think you're the only one who's sort of doing high-level computing science, and I think that would be interesting for the other people to have you there.
Cool.
Yeah, and so like Rich Sutton, like some of the things we've done together are surprising. Strathern, which is like a suburb of Edmonton, they had a summer festival kind of thing. And we went there and I recited poetry about, the technological singularity, machines becoming smarter than human beings, and, computing science and stuff. And while Rich didn't actually present any poetry, he had lots of interesting comments on my poetry. And yeah, so that's kind of cool. We started something which is like an extension of this course between semesters. We take really important subjects that most people find unappealing enough that they wouldn't voluntarily come to a lecture on it, like AI safety and regenerative medicine, and put them in poetry and music and entertain people for an evening and sort of trick them into learning about and thinking about things that they wouldn't voluntarily do so without the poetry and music. So that's called the Future and All That Jazz. And Rich came to one of our first sessions of that in 2016. So that was sort of cool. And that session, evening session, conflicted with one of the major advancements in Go. So it was such an exciting day, of like his students making this major breakthrough in the understanding of Go. And the same day he was coming to this Future and All That Jazz thing with us. So yeah, anyway, it's sort of cool intersection. And the other thing
Yeah.
that would really amuse you, I think, Rich decided that my course needs to become better known among computing science students. So he
Yeah.
invited me to come to his um, course. And, he devoted like 15 minutes of one of his lectures to me just getting up there and promoting the course and passing out things. And some of the students got so mad, because they thought, how can they degrade the quality of this course so much, letting this doctor from the Faculty of Medicine come in and take our valuable time and talk about his stupid course and so on. But the cool thing was that, of course, some students have sort of a pushback against the other students who got so upset. And those students decided to take the course, especially because their stupid friends got
Right.
so upset that I've been allowed to come there and promote the course. So
Oh,
anyway,
it's
that was
hilarious.
also sort of an interesting moment. Yeah. So this graphic behind me here is the idea of young people changing the world. And you would be aware that that's kind of a solution to everything, but it's not the first solution that most older people ever think of. How are we going to fix this problem? Let's bring in a lot of young people. No, that's not what they say. They say, let's go for this expert or, this company or whatever. But so this term of the course, we think that we're going to fix transhumanism, that transhumanism, the people in that field have been fighting with each other since the beginning. And so people can't even define it because there's no agreed upon definition. And it's particularly
Transhumanism.
unappealing for young people because when transhumanists talk about their view of the world, it's as if like you have to be 40 or older you can even be worth talking to. I mean, it's like if you were born in this, century, you are so much a waste of time to talk to, that it's hardly even worth thinking about. So,
Uh,
but think if we do succeed in this, from young people in the course finally fixing that field so it makes sense and people understand what it is and what the value of transhumanism is. What next then? We can take on all the world's hotspots, the Middle East, Northern Ireland, the Balkans,
everything.
the Kashmir in India, right? All those places where there's human conflict that no one has been able to fix, and get young people from the course to work on it. Yeah, I mean, I'm kidding, but still, there is some truth to that. That's really a secret sauce, secret plan, secret element that most people never ever consider. I think is you know focusing young people's creativity and intellect on some unsolvable problem that older people are just proving themselves over and over again incapable of making any forward. So that starts very soon. Like my intro to the course is this coming Tuesday, and this
Yeah.
transhumanism stuff is that. So that's on the 12th, and on the 14th, and the 19th, and the 21st. Yeah. So by the 21st, we plan to have this all solved and fixed. So you can see if that happens, but that's our plan. So H plus, which is the main transhumanism organization, they're having like summit meeting on the 17th, on that Sunday. And so some people from the course are going to go there and take part in that. So that it's really those 4 events then. So the 14th, 17th, and 19th, and 21st. On the 21st, for the first time ever, we're having 2 sessions the same day. One at 7:30. And of course, a lot of young people don't do mornings or don't do early mornings. Like 7:30 is just not happening. But 7:30 allows us to connect with people around the world. And then we'll record that and then have a second session the same day where people have watched the recording from the 7:30, and then at 2 o'clock have a second encounter. And man, that's going to be really something. We have people from the media coming, people from Nepal, where they're starting a new university called the University of Nepal, where they've asked me to help them plan that. So the best and the brightest people from that university will be there at the 7:30 session. And the Edmonton Journal's interested because of the fact that they have done a really cool article about the course in 2014.
Oh, no.
So they can kind of follow up and see what we're doing, if we're accomplishing anything 7 years later. Yeah, so anyway, that's the deal. So do you have questions about the course?
Yeah, totally. So like, other than transhumanism, what else are we covering? Or is the like full topic transhumanism? Or like the main?
I see. So like you don't have the lecture schedule or the bios of the people teaching them. So
No.
the like standard.
I like literally last night, Gagan just gave me like a 5-minute like rundown.
Yeah. Okay. let me just find the schedule, and I'll both send it to you and
Awesome.
also tell you about it. Okay, so let's see here. All right, Alexander. All right. See how quickly I can accomplish this complex computing task. All right.
It's all good. Take your time, dude. No rush.
Well, you say that, but we're recording this. So if I'm too slow, the people watching the recording will be so disappointed. Look at how long it takes Dr. Solez to do this. What an idiot. Okay, so now I'm making a reply to you here. Okay, so let me see if I can find the lecture schedule. All right. So, yeah, it's looking good. Okay, so this is lecture bios. Okay.
Cool.
All right. All right, let me try it another way here. There we go. Okay, schedule. Excellent. Okay. So there it is. So just to kind of go through with you orally. Yeah, so the person speaking on the 21st is David Wood of the London Futurists. London Futurists is the most successful futurist and transhumanism organization. Then there's Shauna Pandya talking about space, the final frontier, resiliency in the next 100 years. And then Shauna teams up with ethicist Michael Van Manen and Harvard ethicist Sieusahai to talk about mind uploading genetic engineering enabling a Star Trek world. Then philosopher David Pearce comes in and talks about full spectrum superintelligence. And then Osmer does 3 AI lectures, and then Patrick, and then Simon Wu talks about quantum supremacy, quantum biology, and then Ishida talks about technological revolution in medicine. Michael Van Manen does 2 medical ethics of the future presentations. Shauna's back to talk about engineering tomorrow and a kind of workshop with the students, teaching them how to work things through. Then I do the singularity explained and promoted. And then we talk about COVID-19 with Robert Rene. And that's basically, then there's the midterm and then the papers due and then the student presentations. So
Cool.
I am going to save as. Okay, so documents. So I'm going to send you both of these things right now. So you'll have both the lecture bios and the lecture schedule. And what you'll notice in the bios is a lot of people teaching are the same age as you or younger. Isn't that cool? So like people who've done well in the course recently often come back to help us, like in a TA position.
Oh, cool.
And some of them also end up teaching. And so you get, I think it's very stimulating to meet somebody more or less your age who's packed a whole lot of life into very few years, you know, and
Yeah.
can really teach you a lot of stuff, even though they've been on Earth about the same amount of time that you have. So that's true with a number of the people that you'll
Awesome.
see on that list. Yeah, so how about you reply to that email and send me your 7-digit student number, because I
Cool.
can't register you without that. That's the secret code, you know. I heard there was a secret code that, yeah, anyway, there's the song of Leonard Cohen's that starts like that. So if you send me those 7 digits, then I can
Awesome.
add you to the course. Are you convinced that you want to take the course, or do you wish to interrogate me further, which is also okay?
No, I'm pretty sold. Yeah, it fits what I want
Yeah.
pretty nicely. So
So
yeah.
let me talk to you about grading.
Cool.
The younger you are, the more important grading is. So when we did focus groups for the course, the undergraduates just wanted to talk about grades. Every question was about grades. How you got to grade? You got a curve. How often are you going to grade us?
Really,
Blah blah blah
yeah.
blah. The graduate students just wanted to ask these big picture questions. How are we going to
Yeah.
change the world? We have to make sure that we admit people from the general public to the course, make it in theory open to everybody, and make sure we don't lose any information. So the insights we get this term, we want to make sure that there's like institutional memory, so we pass it on to the people from the next term and stuff like that. And the cool thing is, of course, that undergraduates become graduate students. So it's not like either group is like crazy. But anyway, yeah. So the grades tend to be high. This is a graduate course mainly taken by undergraduates.
Oh,
So
huh.
that's kind of an amusing fact. Sometimes, in fact, what happens in the first day of class, this was maybe more true when it was face-to-face than virtual, but okay, so all the students would come in and the undergraduates had to be interviewed. So they tend to be these charismatic, outgoing, like really cool people, you know, dynamic, right? And these generic graduate students come in, you know, I just went on Bear Treks and I signed up for this, and you know, looked good to me. But anyway, when they meet these charismatic, outgoing undergraduate students, they think, I could never compete with that. And they never come back. But on the other hand, sometimes the graduate students are like way cooler than the undergrads and, you know, completely outshine them. So we can't ever predict. And then there are this whole bunch of other people who are not registered for the course who are interested in being there on Zoom. Some of them are like, you know, alumni from the course who have taken the course before, as long as 5 years before, but they're so enthusiastic about what we're doing this term. If you think about course about the future has to morph and change every term. I mean, it can't be the same or it's not a valid course about the future, right? Because our thoughts about the future are constantly changing. Yeah. So anyway, that's one constituency. The other constituency is medical students taking this as an elective. They can take it for 6 hours, which would be 4 teaching sessions, or 12 hours, which would be 8 teaching sessions, or some of them just decide to take the whole thing. And you might think those other students who are not registered for the course would not take the midterm and not do any final presentations. But you'd be surprised because some of them, like sitting there, get to thinking, I wonder how my performance would compare to these other guys. And so even though they're not getting any credit for the course, they still wanted to like take the midterm or give a final presentation. So you really can't tell when you look on Zoom of who's going to be like the most interesting person there and who's going to have the coolest presentation and stuff. And I like surprises. I bet you do too. So anyway, there tend to be surprises in this course because people also know that to a certain extent, I'm less afraid of novel situations than most people. If that wasn't the case, I probably wouldn't be in the futurist business. So when a student does something that no student has ever done before, I think that's really cool. So let's talk about mentoring for your final paper and presentation. So you don't have to do this, but if you feel uncertain about how to confine your topic so it fits within a 20-minute presentation, a 10-page paper, and so on. You can pick anyone who's ever taught in the course and ask them for advice on this. And if you don't want to pick somebody other than me, you can pick me. So up until this year, or up until last year, when I was the mentor and when I suggested something, the students always did what I suggested. It sort of made sense. I'm in charge of the course. They're asking me what to do. I tell them and they do what I say, you know. So the highest performing student last term, he rejected every suggestion that I had and didn't do any of this stuff and still ended up with the best presentation, best paper, best, you know, performance on the midterm. So isn't that cool that that's possible? You know, that there are like these counterintuitive things in the world that you think would never, ever happen that do happen. One of the other students interviewed me as the final project and the subject of the final project was me. So I don't think we can do that very often or the course will be criticized as a sort of exercise in, you know, personality politics or something like that. But yeah. Anyway, So the midterm is worth 20%. The final presentation is worth 30%. The paper is worth 40%, and class participation is worth 10%.
Cool.
So
Cool.
that's how it's structured. There's no one kind of student that takes the course. In the beginning, it was often superstars, like people who are really the highest performing and real leadership, right? So Peter Lougheed Leadership College, a lot of those people took the course and ended up teaching in the course later on and stuff like that. But then another kind of student discovered the course. So like those leadership, superstars, they're used to getting A's, right? But then there are people here who've never gotten A's. They don't want to get A's. A is not their grade. They like B's. B's are really cool, and it's a little bit easier to get a B than an A. So the first time that happened, I was thinking, oh, the students are going to be so upset because they're getting the lowest grade, which is like a B- or a B. Oh, geez, I'm going to face them and I'm going to be all, and they were perfectly happy because that's what they always get. They just try to take cool courses here at the U of A, and they're looking for the standard B that they usually get. Yeah. So that, and over time, we've also realized that there needs to be a kind of balance. I thought in the beginning that the easier the course is, the more the students will like it. But you realize that's not really true in two senses. You want to take a course that really doesn't challenge you at all, not particularly. And secondly, if your advisor doesn't like the course and think you're really stupid to have taken this course, then that's not going to work well, right? So that was when we added the midterm, and we added medical terms to more of the lecture sessions. So like in the beginning, there were maybe only one or two lectures that had any use of medical terms. So we talk about medicine writ large, which is kind of like it includes social work and correcting poverty and racial injustice and all that kind of stuff. That is like the background for a lot of medical problems. So medicine writ large also includes those overarching topics rather than just diseases and therapies. But the Faculty of Science advisors wanted more medical content, more medical terms. It isn't you have to know the terms, but it's kind of nice to be exposed to them. The understanding of the material is not really dependent upon you knowing the terms. Yeah, so there may be 4 or 5 of the teaching sessions that at least use medical terms. So we've found a kind of sweet spot, I think, where the Faculty of Science advisors like the course and the students like the course. And when you talk about the course, it doesn't sound to your friends like you've really taken something that's terribly easy and doesn't teach you anything. But actually, like when you go to a party or whatever it is, what people would do in 2021, I guess when you have a party on Zoom and the evening gets late and people stop talking about work stuff, that because of this course, you have more cool stuff to talk about. You know more futuristic memes and other things, that you can talk about. So anyway, that's so yeah. So this course can be life-changing. We've had people that gave their final presentation, and then 3 days later got an awesome job offer from a new tech startup run by a famous person in New York City, and they went there and their whole life has changed. I'm not guaranteeing that, but it could happen. So yeah. Anyway,
Uh,
so any other questions?
uh, no, not really, honestly.
Okay,
Everything I wanted to get covered is covered. So yeah.
okay. All right, I just see here. Okay, so you have responded your secret code. That's great. Okay, no, I like that. Um, so I will write to Cheryl Titus, who's the person who can,
Cool.
administratively add you to the course, and she will add you
Awesome.
to the course roster on Monday. Then on Tuesday at 2, you'll have the Zoom then to join that session, and you'll be off and running in LabMP 590. So,
Awesome.
so any other questions? I've only spent a half hour with you, so anyway, I don't want you
Uh,
to feel cheated now, but yeah. Anyway, any other?
I don't know. Your time's valuable, so hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, like my like main two motivations are like one, maybe I'll find like a cool new research question I didn't think about previously, and two, just like a better, broader understanding of like the broader impacts of whatever I end up doing. It's like it, and it's just it seems like from what you've told me that this does a pretty good job of covering those two like bases, I guess. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm happy with what I've heard so far.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, good. Great. Well, it'll be very nice to have you in the course, and
Thank you.
so um, we can't tell exactly, the number of registered students, but I'm anticipating that, the number of faces you'll see on Zoom is around 20,
Cool.
something like that, given with the TAs and the students from the past and all that kind of thing. So it'll be a good mix of people. And I think
Nice.
one of the advantages of the course is meeting the other students, because they tend to be
So
really
yeah,
interesting people too. So
yeah.
anyway, okay, so I will see you on Tuesday, and thank you very much for this conversation today.
Thanks.
Okay,
Yeah, I
take
really
care now.
appreciate it.
Right.
Yeah, you too, dude.
All
See ya.
right. Bye.